6:45 a.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Danushka Madhavala, read by Soundithavam. The government expenditure reduced by 7% this year compared to the last year. Sri Lanka's national inflation declines to 65% in November 2022. A meeting between all district representatives, assistant election commissioner and district secretaries with regard to the local government election will be held tomorrow. Customs seized vehicles to be distributed to the police. Education officials instructed not to hold term tests for the primary section of schools. Putin says Russia not to blame for Ukraine conflict. And Mead wins Sports Personality of the Year. State Minister Ranjit Siamalapitiya says that the government was able to reduce the government expenditure by 7% this year compared to last year. It is an amount of more than $1,000 million. These saved funds will be utilized to maintain essential services in the country. The government has taken measures to remove the import ban of another 10 items. The State Minister said the government had to control the importation of non-essential items due to the prevailing difficult situation in the country. The Department of Census and Statistics yesterday reported that Sri Lanka's nationwide inflation in November 2022, determined under the National Consumer Price Index, declined to 65% from 70.6% recorded in October 2022 on a year-on-year basis. The NCPI for all items for the month of November 2022 marginally decreased to 256.3 from 256.9 in the previous month. With respect to November 2021, the reported inflation for the month of November 2022 was mainly due to the higher price levels prevailing in both food and non-food groups. Accordingly, the year-on-year inflation of the food group decreased to 69.8% in November 2022 from 80.9% in October 2022, and the year-on-year inflation of the non-food group decreased to 60.4% in November 2022 from 61.3% in the previous month. Contributions to the inflation rate of November 2022 from the food group and non-food group are 33.94% and 31.03%. Core inflation decreased to 60.1% in November 2022 from 62.4% in October 2022. The moving average inflation for the month of November 2022 was 46.7%. The corresponding rate for the month of October 2022 was 42.2%. A meeting between all district representatives, assistant election commissioner and district secretaries with regard to the local government election will be held tomorrow. This discussion will be held under the patronage of the Director General of Election Commission, Saman Sri Ratnayaka. The discussion will focus on the conduct of the local government elections. You're listening to the news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Ministry of Finance said measures have been taken to distribute vehicles declared as state assets by the Customs Department to the Sri Lanka Police for sting operations, including drug raids. Issuing a statement, the ministry said, State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siamalapitiya yesterday undertook an inspection of the vehicles placed at the Hambantota port. Following the inspection, the minister said that the vehicles that have been impounded for being illegally imported several years ago are currently becoming dilapidated. State Minister Siamalapitiya further said that on the advice of President Ranil Wickremesinghe, the legal obstacles pertaining to the vehicles will be addressed and the vehicles will be used for the welfare of the public. Minister Susil Premajayant instructed officials not to hold term tests for the primary section of the schools next year. Instead, the students should be given assignments for each lesson. The mark sheets of the assignments should be maintained and used in the year-end tests for the evaluation process. The vacation period will be reduced so that the entire syllabus of 2023 will be covered by next December. Therefore, he said the backlog of studies will be cleared. That concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment has received information about a group of fraudsters who make phone calls and collect money from those who are selected for nursing jobs in Israel. It has been revealed that before The Sri Lankans who were selected for nursing jobs in Israel, according to the lottery system, could be notified officially. A group of organized fraudsters in Israel and this country have fraudulently obtained the phone numbers of the people selected for the jobs and made calls, telling them that they would definitely be selected through the lottery system and fraudulently charging money. The SLBC clarifies that according to the Memorandum of Understanding between the Government of Israel and the Government of Sri Lanka, Sri Lankans are recruited only for nursing jobs in Israel, and currently only the Bureau has the legal permission to recruit for those jobs. Qualified nursing job applicants are selected through a lottery system in Israel. No person has any power to personally intervene or influence the selection process. That came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sidhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
Let's celebrate Christmas and New Year with CIB, with special gifts, discounts and easy payment schemes available till 31st of December. Come to CIB today.
The National Water Supply and Drainage Board announces that the water supply will be interrupted to several areas in the Gampaha district today. The water supply will be interrupted to the areas of Usvatakeyava, Pamanugama and Taldiyavatta, according to the National Water Supply and Drainage Board. Thereby, the water supply will be interrupted for 12 hours, starting from 6 p.m. today and will be restored at 12 a.m. on December 23rd and came to you in Watchlight.
Let's celebrate Christmas and New Year with CIB, with special gifts, discounts and easy payment schemes available till 31st of December. Come to CIB today.
World News, brought to you by courtesy of
We give you the strength to rise higher and higher.
Never step back, but always march forward.
Empowering you to reach greater heights. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Making headlines this morning, Putin says Russia not to blame for Ukraine conflict. The WHO says China's hospitals seem to be filling up with COVID patients. And Israel's most right-wing government agreed under Benjamin Netanyahu. Vladimir Putin believes Russia is not to blame for the war in Ukraine, adding both countries are sharing a tragedy. During a televised address with senior military officials, the Russian president said he continued to see Ukraine as a brotherly nation. In February, President Putin sent up to 200,000 troops into Ukraine, sparking a war which has led to thousands of deaths. He claimed the conflict was the result of the policy of third countries. The theory, which implies Western expansion is the cause, has been repeatedly dismissed outside Russia. During his address, President Putin claimed the West had brainwashed post-Soviet republics, starting with Ukraine. Hospitals in China appear to be filling up amid concerns about a fresh COVID-19 wave hitting the country, the World Health Organization says. Dr. Michael Ryan says intensive care units are busy despite officials saying the numbers are relatively low. China figures show no one died of COVID on Wednesday, but there is skepticism about the disease's real impact. In recent days, hospitals in Beijing and other cities have been filling up as the latest COVID surge hits China. Since 2020, China has imposed strict health restrictions as part of a so-called zero COVID policy. A new government seen as the most right-wing in Israel's history has been agreed, sealing Benjamin Netanyahu's return to power. Mr. Netanyahu, who won elections in November, is set to serve an historic sixth term as Prime Minister. His coalition contains far-right parties, including one whose leader was once convicted of anti-Arab racism. Palestinians fear the new government will also strengthen Israel's hold on the occupied West Bank. Back to the headlines of the world news. Putin says Russia not to blame for Ukraine conflict. The WHO says China's hospitals seem to be filling up with COVID patients. And Israel's most right-wing government agreed under Benjamin Netanyahu. That concludes this bulletin of world news.
World News, brought to you by courtesy of
Amidst all challenges, we will rally around you and advance.
In the face of hardships, let's stand strong together.
Empowering you to reach greater heights. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Development News.
The Minister of Power and Energy, Kanchana Wijesekara, said electricity tariffs will be increased in January 2023. Speaking to the media, he said that the electricity tariff revision will definitely take place and that all necessary measures have been taken in this regard. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara further said that he expects to submit a report on the proposed electricity tariff revision to the next cabinet meeting, which is scheduled for the 2nd of January 2023. The Power and Energy Minister emphasized that electricity tariffs will definitely be increased in January 2023. He added that once the recommendation was made, the regulator, PUCSL, will have to analyze the request and make a decision regarding approving it. That came to you in development news, and taking a look at sports news. England and Arsenal forward Beth Mead has been voted BBC Sports Personality of the Year 2022. Mead starred at this summer's Euro 2022, where she helped the Lionesses to glory at Wembley, England's first ever major women's football trophy. The 27-year-old becomes the first women's footballer to win the award. In a public vote, England Test captain Ben Stokes was second, and Eve Muirhead, who led Team GB to curling gold in the Winter Olympics, came third. Athlete Jake Whiteman, 7-time snooker world champion Ronnie O'Sullivan, and gymnast Jessica Guerrero were also shortlisted for the award. Brazil great Pele's cancer has advanced, according to the hospital where the 82-year-old is being treated. The 3-time World Cup winner has been in hospital for just over 3 weeks. His daughter said on social media that he would spend Christmas in hospital. The hospital, Isalita Albert Einstein, said Pele presents cancer disease progression and requires greater care related to renal and cardiac dysfunctions. Pele had a tumor removed from his colon in September 2021 and has since had regular treatment. That's sports news. We look at business news next.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest. An interest rate of 22% in 4 months. NSB, the safest place for your money.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Microsoft faces legal action from chain gamers to block its merger with Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard. The lawsuit filed in a U.S. federal court says the $69 billion deal by the Xbox console maker to purchase its rival will create a monopoly in the video game industry. The complaint comes 2 weeks after U.S. regulators filed a case with an administrative judge to block the deal. The merger would be the largest tech deal ever in the video gaming market and came to you in business news, economic news to follow.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest. An interest rate of 22% in 4 months. NSB, the safest place for your money.
Economic news, courtesy of...
For the 5th consecutive year, LOLC is awarded People's Financial Services Brand of the Year at the 2022 Slim Kantar People's Awards. As the People's Financial Services Brand of the Year, LOLC continues to place the customer first. And this has won the hearts, minds and trust of Sri Lankans, with yet another prestigious award as proof of this lasting commitment. LOLC, imagine the possibilities.
Business leader and former chairman of the Hatton National Bank and Commercial Bank of Ceylon, Dinesh Vellakodi, has been appointed as the chairman of the Board of Investment. This appointment has been made by President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Dr. Dushni Virakun, Ms. Chandani Vijayavardhana and Mr. Eraj De Silva have been appointed as board members of the Board of Investment, and that's economic news.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking.
Weather report.
The low-pressure area over the southwest Bay of Bengal is likely to intensify into a depression during the next 2 days. It is very likely to move northwestward towards the northeastern coast of Sri Lanka during the next few days. Several spells of showers will occur in the northern, eastern, Uva and north-central provinces. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places elsewhere during the evening or night. And to conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The government expenditure reduced by 7% this year compared to the last year. Sri Lanka's national inflation declines to 65% in November 2022. A meeting between all district representatives, assistant election commissioner and district secretaries with regard to the local government election will be held tomorrow. Customs seized vehicles to be distributed to the police. Education officials instructed not to hold term tests for the primary section of schools. Putin says Russia not to blame for Ukraine conflict. And Meet wins Sports Personality of the Year. With that, we conclude this morning's news broadcast.